AdLib is the DSP-agnostic buying platform to scale your programmatic campaigns smarter, faster, and more profitably. AdLib helps independent agencies and marketers deliver premium programmatic performance without the complexity, cost, or overhead of traditional DSPs. Their platform provides the tools, data, and automation to run enterprise-quality campaigns, from CTV and audio to geofencing and YouTube, all under one roof with zero trafficking headaches. Plus, they're not just a platform, they're your growth partner. The AdLib team helps you win new business, expand budgets, and deliver measurable ROI that keeps clients coming back. It's time to unlock programmatic. Join leading marketers worldwide who are using AdLib to deliver more campaigns with better results. Check out getadlib.com.
Hey everybody, it's Eric. Before we get into the pod with Mark Levin of Consumable, just a quick disclosure that my firm, Aperium, is on the Consumable cap table by way of an acquisition. Get ready, this is going to be an awesome pod.
Welcome to Open Market, a podcast about building companies in the advertising industry. I'm Joe Zappa, and I'm joined by Eric Franchi and the CEO of Consumable, Mark Levin. How's it going, Mark?
It's going great. Fun to be here.
Mark, you have a shirt, and what I see on the shirt from my vantage point is buy more. So just buy more in general. Oh, okay, buy more audio. All right.
That is our theme. That is our theme, Joe. We are trying to rise all tides in buying more audio. And I'm happy to tell you what we do and how we do it. But I wear this shirt almost on every call.
I mean, this is generally a pro sales and pro commerce pod. So we're fans of buy more, but buy more audio might be a little more specific to your business.
Consumable, just to kick it off, is a technology company for the audio advertising industry across the open web. And since we're in the open market, it'll be good to talk about the open web. We've already scaled to 839 million users globally. It's a Comscore measured number, reaching environments that streaming platforms and podcasts simply don't touch.
Tell us more.
What I mean is we reimagined where audio ads could run. When I say audio ads, the first thing you think of is Spotify. You think of radio. You think of podcasts and what we're doing right now. We at Consumable reimagined where audio ads could be heard, listened to, and seen. And where we put them is in mobile apps that you use every single day, like gaming apps, finance apps, sports and fitness apps, news apps. So really just reimagining an entire ecosystem where audio ads can live. That's what we've achieved and built out at Consumable.
So the tagline of the company is sort of like make audio addressable, right? And what immediately occurs to me there is that if you have audio ads on mobile, like mobile is this highly like addressable channel, right? Where someone can be linked to a device and then you could probably like verify exposure and maybe link to outcomes, et cetera. So is that a big part of the play, is transforming how audio works and maybe making it both more addressable and more measurable?
Maids are our best friend. So for everybody playing at home, and I know they're sophisticated listeners of this pod.
They know the maids.
They know the maids. Okay. Not someone who cleans your house.
Yeah. But if you did reach someone who cleans your house with an ad from Consumable, you would be able to link them to the supermarket, and therefore your audio budgets could be expanded versus the unverifiable audio budgets that Mark's competitors are peddling.
That is 100% right. I think from our perspective, making audio addressable was an entire unlock for budget to grow this industry that was non-existent years ago into a multi-billion-dollar marketplace today. And we think addressability is one thing that is missing from audio, and we're bringing that addressability to audio and providing true measurement, closed loop, can show performance. That is what is on everyone's mind today.
Dragging audio into the outcomes era, Eric.
Exactly. So, Mark, we need to talk more about audio because it's this like beast that sits outside of CTV and commerce media that everybody kind of points to as either the next great market or the great market is here now. But the reason why I was particularly interested in having you on was, unlike many portfolio companies of ours, and Consumable is a portfolio company by way of an acquisition, you mostly bootstrap this business, yeah?
Yeah, we had raised some money early on and went through that money and basically had about $800,000 left in the bank by the time we got to ad tech, and acquired a few different operating businesses that weren't generating any revenues and figured out how to monetize both audio in a way that was profitable. So by the time we got to audio in 2022, in the last 4 years, we had zero revenue in audio. And over the last 4 years, we've done over $150 million of revenue in the audio space where we had zero, and we did not raise $1 from that 800,000 that was left in the bank. So I'm really proud to share that story here to other entrepreneurs that are out there raising 10, 20, 50 million, $100 million to build out an ad tech company. We've done it lean. We started with less than 10 people. We have 28 people today, 8-figure EBITDA as a company. And we use that cash flow to keep growing the business. And we've built a war chest now of cash that's allowing us to get into the hundreds of millions of dollars, at least position us for that.
How did you grow? So over the last 4 years, how did you grow differently being a bootstrapped company and getting into the audio business versus maybe if you had been VC backed?
So I have this saying, and I use it with a lot of different internal and external folks. And I call it raise revenue instead of raising capital. And I'm a revenue first CEO. So I look to understand where revenue is in the marketplace, talk to potential customers, talk to existing customers, try to find out what's missing in the marketplace, really listen, just listen to what they're saying and look at the signals and eliminate the noise, but focus on revenue and start with $1. I always tell everybody, start with $1 of revenue. Everybody looks too far ahead. They create fancy spreadsheets. They create years and years of projections. I'm the opposite. I look at the customers, I look at how it's trending, and I make sure there's a margin. We would not have been successful in scaling this business and any other business I've been involved in if you don't have healthy margins. Margins are your freedom to successful cash flow. Without that, one mistake with a small margin will crush you and you're out of business. So that's how I've been really focused, Joe, in terms of going to existing customers or new customers and asking questions and understanding the market and seeing where you're going to fit, but focused on $1 at a time and not over investing in a build that might not be compatible with the marketplace.
Yeah, I think there are arguments on both ends, and maybe we want to have Eric come in as a venture capitalist and talk about the other side of this. But I think that when you are bootstrapped, it forces a lot of discipline, right? And it forces you to be customer centric and to say, okay, what customers are we actually winning, and what sort of investments do they enable, and how do we grow them? Versus, VC, you have the luxury sometimes of like making a lot of bets, right? And that can lead to, in the best case scenario, you make some bets you would not have been able to make if you were not VC backed, and maybe they pay off huge. In the worst case scenario, you can end up spreading yourself really thin. You can be unfocused, et cetera. So Eric, you want to chime in on that?
Mark is a rare story. That's why we wanted to have him on. Frankly, when we were catching up, I couldn't believe the progress of the course of the past few years. Most companies end up being venture backed, and you need to just go into it wide open and make sure that, frankly, the business is a fit for venture, and you as a founder are fit for venture. Like Mark was talking about a different process and a different way of thinking than any CEO we've had on, because all of the CEOs we've had on, quite frankly, have been venture-backed CEOs. And you are going for a market that you believe is going to be very big. Again, this is the venture side of it. A market that you think will get hot quickly. A market that can be won. And a market that requires like real capital to step on the gas to win it quickly. So, it's just a different way of thinking, right? Like grow fast, grow aggressively, look to use capital to win market share, get to market faster, versus a slower compounding, growth effect. And, frankly, like you can be successful both ways. It's just a different way of doing things.
Joe and Eric, I'm not anti-VC.
Yeah, of course not.
I think it has to fit the mold, like you said, of the CEO and the market and the opportunity. I just encourage people early on not to take a bunch of money that they don't know what to do with, and they're just making a bunch of bets versus I've got product market fit. And I'm seeing AI accelerate that because you don't need a lot of engineers. You don't need a lot of work to go prove and build a product today and go get product market fit. And then you'd raise capital to accelerate that.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. It's a sequencing thing as well, especially these days.
Let's drill down on bootstrapping and how that affects how you build a company, because you have achieved like quite a bit of scale through that bootstrapped approach. We focus on go-to-market on this pod. You mentioned going out and getting revenue or raising revenue, Mark. How'd you do it in the beginning? Like, how'd you get from, 0 to, let's say, 10 million in audio? And how has your approach evolved as the company has grown?
So it's going to sound really logical, but we went to companies that were already buying audio ads. Mm-hmm. And we said, would you buy audio ads in places that audio ads didn't exist? So they were buying ads on the radio. They were buying ads in Spotify and Pandora and Sirius Radio. We said, what if we put that same creative in a spot in Candy Crush or Words with Friends or Solitaire or MyFitnessPal? They're like, well, is it addressable? Are we going to be able to measure it? Are we going to be able to track it? What's the CPM? Is it comparable to what I'm paying or is it less? And then people said, I'll test it. You want to get a test. I'm a big believer in testing. So we offered everybody that we worked with in the beginning, and I would advise this to any entrepreneur starting a business, try to test. I always say if you have a consumer product, give them a sample. Try it. Let people try it. If it works, they're going to buy it. And that's what we've proven over and over again, year over year growth, and going from 0 to over $150 million in cumulative revenue, but the growths are double digit. And we think we're going to hit 9 figures next year. So it's real and it's sustainable because it works and we're able to measure it. I think if you can measure the results, I'm not talking about outcomes, just measure results in general and provide transparency. We don't operate in an opaque marketplace. We tell our buyers where their ads are going to appear. We're very focused on supply. We have an entire supply team. We have the company human verifying our traffic. So it is, less than 1% IVT. And it's really important from a credibility standpoint to show where that traffic is being shown, right? Where are those ads showing up?
What's the state of digital audio ads today? When you walk into an agency, are you selling to audio buyers? Are you selling to digital buyers and, trying to sell them audio? And then if it's the latter, how are those conversations and what are the common objections and how do you handle that?
Yeah, so we are definitely still 100% selling to audio buyers.
Got it.
They understand the market, they understand what they're getting, and they understand the limitations of traditional audio like broadcast audio. Podcasting has helped the market and expand the market, but I will tell you that Consumable's audio product has expanded the total addressable market for audio by billions of dollars. We're seeing hundreds of thousands of QPS, the largest audio marketplace of supply that exists. And we're able to have that conversation with the buyers saying, you have a new place that provides unduplicated reach. We basically pitch it like this, Eric. Unduplicated reach of 65 million people in the United States. Keep buying Pandora. Keep buying iHeart. Keep buying Spotify. It's not a share shift. We're saying buy and extend your audience with Consumable so that you're able to get more value, effective CPM, and actually see performance for that campaign. So it's a net new buy and generating net new dollars. I often compare it to Uber. When Uber came into New York City, all the taxi cabs didn't go away. People still took taxi rides. What Uber did was expand the total addressable market for transportation. More people were taking rides that didn't take rides before. So it increased the total addressable market for transportation. That's what we're doing with audio.
Is audio inherently harder than other formats because it's the only one where you're not staring at a screen? Your thing aside, because you're in apps, like gaming apps, which are highly engaged. I'm talking about like audio generally. Does the fact that there's no screen for a person to like see something, take an action on, make it harder?
So traditionally, yes. And that was one of the things with our patented product. We're able to use the patents from our acquisition of Conduit, Eric's portfolio company that became our acquisition. We actually put in a visual component to every audio ad. So you can have a call to action. You can have a companion banner. But a lot of the objection was Spotify has companion banners, but your phone's in your pocket while you're listening. You're not engaged. Right. So there's numerous studies on the effectiveness of listening to audio ads and their impact in brand lift, in brand recall, and recognition. That's proven. That's great. This becomes additive by having a visual component with a call to action and a made is kind of a perfect storm for us. And then scaling that to hundreds of millions of devices just makes this even more compelling for a media buyer and an agency and a brand to engage with.
Yeah, no question on the effectiveness of audio ads. I have a house full of things that I bought from podcast ads because it's you're right, it works. But I think it's interesting when you expand out to buyers that have a more universal kind of set of objectives and you address it. So it's neat.
With any ad tech company, there's usually like a two-sided marketplace challenge, right? Where it's like you need to get the demand and you need to get the supply. It's like what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You mentioned getting the demand by saying, hey, we're just going to test this. You're already buying audio. I have a different kind of audio channel for you. See if it performs. How'd you get the supply? Like it sounds like you're some really valuable supply partners. How'd you get them to sign on?
One by one.
Yeah.
So we have an amazing supply team and we went out and specifically told them what they're doing. The value add for supply. I've been in this industry for many years. Supply only cares about one thing, money. We saw with supply partners that they were selling the same video ads to the same advertisers. And once they reached their frequency cap, no more ads were coming through. So there were unsold impressions or people weren't bidding on the impressions. So we went in to the supply partners and said, we have a new format. Our format actually lives as a video file. That's part of our patent. So we take an audio ad, we unwrap it as part of our patent, and it gets put into the cloud and converted to a video file so that it can run in a video spot in app across CTV, across a video player on the open web. Anywhere where there is a video ad running, Consumables tech can operate and live. So the value proposition, Joe, was we were bringing new demand to publishers, and they all said, yes, we'll integrate you. And we made it, the other thing that you have to do in any business is create very little friction. So if you have a very difficult implementation for a publisher, they will balk. They will punt it down the road. Mm-hmm. We did OpenRTB and VastTag. So these were industry standard practices that were done for publishers and the supply side, which enabled us to go out and get many publishers and then ultimately scale it. But you start with one publisher.
So my impression is that your model would have significant implications for the audio space and like audio as a channel, right? In the sense that I mean, of course, it's going to remind me of, the performance TV thesis, where it's like, all right, if we make TV more performant, people already love TV. They already spend money on TV, but it needs to perform, and then the budgets can grow. So would you say the same is true of audio? Like, I think the general perception in ad tech is that audio has historically underperformed as a channel, not in terms of the results it drives for advertisers, but in terms of the investment, because advertisers are not able to prove the results. So would that be your contention that, you're going to grow and the whole audio category will grow along with you?
That is my thesis, and that's why I'm wearing this buy more audio shirt and being an evangelist for the audio industry and addressable audio specifically. I think at the end of the day, if you can show results, the media models or investment will start to show outperformance. We're working with every single measurement company out there, incrementality partners, to prove this thesis out. And as long as the data keeps getting pumped in and showing that audio, especially consumable audio, works, we're going to get more budget allocated. We have over a 90% retention rate when an advertiser spends $50,000 or more with consumable. So we know it works, and then they increase their budgets. So my mission is to just keep evangelizing audio as a channel. We think podcasting and radio has its place, but we want to expand the total market for audio and have that investment team make it 8 or 9 or 10% instead of 6%, where it is today.
Speaking of evangelizing, so we spoke about sales and your sales team. What are you doing from an evangelism perspective? Like, do you have a sort of formal approach to marketing?
It's a great question. As a bootstrap company, even though we're super profitable, we don't waste. We're always thinking about return on investment. We're always thinking about how to think differently and put our resources to work more effectively than anybody else. So we've actually gone to market with some sponsored dinners with agencies, with brands, where we have an intimate engagement of about 15 to 18 people, and we get to know these companies. We don't talk about business at the dinner. The meetings happen post-dinner, but we get their attention. Everybody knows that Consumable was the sponsor of this event, so it's an easy introduction. I believe in going to events like Possible and Cannes and CES, but just not throwing around money, being more strategic and doing events with our potential customers and existing customers.
Back to the market question, because this is interesting, Joe. Where I thought you were going was performance TV not just made TV measurable, but it opened it up to a whole new set of potential buyers. So, Mark, what's your view on that, right? So, like, you're selling to audio buyers today, presumably expand your reach, find incremental reach, and, make it, that much more measurable works. Do you think that the buyers of display, the buyers of CTV, the buyers of commerce media are the next set of buyers for audio? Or is it just such a unique beast that this is about just a share shift?
I love that question. And we've spent the last year building out a self-serve audio ads platform to go after performance advertisers. We wanted to get the measurement companies and really understand what drives performance. And I think we've nailed it. In about 30 days, we'll release our self-serve platform to let anybody, a local business, a large company, a meta advertiser, a CTV advertiser, I don't care what you're spending money on, you should be putting money into audio ads. And if you don't have the creative, we used 11 Labs and few other companies to create the audio spot for you. So if you type in, your domain name when you register, it'll auto create an audio spot for you that you can edit and just make it really easy. This is very similar to what CTV companies have done, where they don't have a CTV creative. We didn't want audio creative to be the roadblock to create an audio campaign. And we're going to expand that to podcasts. We have over 50,000 podcasts that we've ingested, where small to medium-sized businesses and performance advertisers will be able to put their podcast using our proprietary audience segments.
That's great. Sign us up. It's so interesting, the parallels between CTV and audio in this conversation, but the whole creative thing, I didn't even think about that. That's been, a real unlock for a lot of the CTV companies going after not performance budgets, but just like SMBs, right? Like make it easy to like spin up a TV ad using AI. I completely had a blind spot to the audio front. Is that a real issue for audio ads these days? Is like that one of the big barriers?
Let's just do the math together. First of all, our platform is called Easy.
Public math. No math. I'll do it. No, please, Mark. If you're prepared, please do it. Just don't ask me to.
I'm fully prepared. First of all, our platform is called Easy Ads, EASI for Exclusive Audio Supply Interface. So we want to make it easy for people to do it. So we named the platform Easy. So the math for me is if only 6% of marketing spend is going to audio budgets, the vast majority of advertisers don't have audio creative. They're just not making audio ads. And you don't want to go to a creative studio. You don't want to pay thousands of dollars to create a jingle or an audio spot. AI has changed that. You can literally create an audio spot in 5 seconds. And then if you don't like it, create 10 more. If you want to put music to it, if you want to have a jingle, if you want to write a new script, it's all seamlessly done. And it makes it very, very easy, which is why we named the platform Easy.
There are two different opportunities there, right? There's the opportunity to expand audio budgets by those who are already spending on it and who would spend more if it were measurable and addressable. But then, as Eric's pointing to, there is bringing in this whole universe of performance marketers who haven't historically spent or maximized spend on the channel and making it self-serve and easy for them. And the two things for that audience is always ease and effectiveness, right? So you have ease right in the name, and then obviously effectiveness is what you built the company on. I think what we're going to see is like over the past 2 to 3 years, one of the biggest phenomena in ad tech was performance TV, right? And, Vibe is becoming a very big company. TVSci just sold for a whole boatload of money to Pinterest. Streamer got acquired by Magnite. I think there will be a performance audio phenomenon, right, that is similar, and that there will be huge winners, multiple huge winners in this category. We have a client at my agency, Sharpen, called Audion, that's sort of working on some similar stuff, but bit different from what you're doing, Mark, but also about this idea of what if audio were performant and measurable. I know there's a company, Audio Hook. So there are a few companies approaching this. You've achieved very measurable scale already doing this, and I think it'll be a huge opportunity.
Thank you. I totally agree. And we welcome all of those companies. And we think there's enough billions and billions of dollars of budget to have all of those companies be successful. Our goal is to get to $1 billion and prove that we can from a performance basis, opening up these budgets like CTV has so successfully done. We're testing now with app install companies and have integrations with Adjust and Singular and Apps Flyer, which are mandatory. Again, going back to my non-friction, you have to play with the tools that these companies are using today and not get them to use something new or grade your own homework like other companies do. So having those third-party tools, having the right supply and the right performance metrics, I believe there's a huge unlock from hundreds of millions of dollars over the next 24 months for us in this performance category.
Agreed. I think that's a pretty good note to end on. Do you have anything else, Eric?
Yeah, this is great. I love it. This is such a cool story, Mark, between the bootstrapping, between like leading this performance audio category at a company that, frankly, very few people have heard of. I just love this stuff. So we're glad to have you on. Thank you for the time.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm glad I could tell the story. And you guys had great questions. And have a great weekend ahead, guys.
Cool. Performance audio has arrived. Thank you very much.
We'll see you next week, everybody.